Well, obviously, as Giuliani was saying, I've watched it before coming on. Yeah, I mean, you can only plead the fifth if you could be incriminated in a crime, not because you don't feel like answering. So that does tell us something. One point is, I think Republicans, in light of the tornado, the media was looking for any excuse not to cover this anyway. They have the tornado. I think Republicans should say, look, this is important news. Because of the news value of the tornado, we're going to put our hearings off for a week or two. I mean, Monday, before the tornado it hit, the New York Times didn't manage to mention anything about the IRS scandal on its front page, and every time it does mention it, it's look at what Republicans are doing with this issue. I mean, this is a very important issue, and you know, back to blaming it all on the Cincinnati office, their claim is, from the New York Times, it was a very strange front-page article the Times had on Sunday by a reporter who's otherwise usually pretty good, Nicholas Confessore, and he apparently hasn't been following the news on the story he was reporting, even the news in his own newspaper, because he keeps pushing the angle of, oh, there was just chaos and confusion and they were overworked. The overworked excuse ought to explain why they were rubber stamping everything, not why they're going into overdrive and doing more work and harassing Tea Party groups and asking whom they pray to and what their tweets are and every member of their family and their resumes. No, they're saying we worked really hard to harass Tea Partiers because we were overworked. And then you look at True the Vote, one of the groups that applied for both 501c3, 501c4 status. At the same time, they're being audited by the overworked Cincinnati office. They are also being investigated by the FBI, by the ATF, because they were at a manufacturing plant with a license to make guns, so they weren't making guns. Now, okay, again, does this all go... OSHA. Does this all go back to the Cincinnati office? There's only one person who is the boss of all those organizations, and the Congress better find out... They need to prosecute these low-level individuals in order to get them to get to where it came from.
Jay Carney denied anybody in the White House knew. Now, he's given 5 different stories about this, but now we found out that the president's lawyer, the White House counsel, and the chief of staff did in fact know, which Carney originally denied anybody knowing. Right.
How many people directly associated with Obama have to know for us to assume, that looks like Obama knew? But the way you find out is by, look, these people broke the law, by prosecuting them, and unless you're going to get the Cincinnati office to take the fall for Benghazi, IRS, ATF, and now the investigation of Fox News, I think you're going to work your way up the chain, but the Republicans ought to put it off until next week, because they weren't covering it already. They are definitely not covering it a few days after a massive, horrible tornado.
It's probably a kiosk's fault, an ATM machine's fault, a tsunami's fault, an earthquake's fault, Rush Limbaugh's fault, Fox's fault, my fault, your fault, Levin's fault.
But really, why can't Darrell Issa say we'll pick this up next week?
Well, I think they probably will. I have no doubt. But this is getting dicey for them. I only have about 10 seconds.
It's a disaster. All I have to say is I wish they would start tapping my phone, because I think they'd find it very edifying.
Okay. They might learn something. Okay. I don't want my phone tapped.
Leave poor Jim Rosen alone.
All right. They might catch us cursing occasionally. But